Good Friday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the Internal Combustion Engine Age YouTube channel. It talks about all my cars and trucks and SUVs, the motorcycles, the camper. Wow, holy crow. So Debbie is on our doorstep, or is she moving past the doorstep? Because it's been a torrential, heavy rains all day yesterday, all day into today. The winds, we had tornado warnings all night long. It's been a heck of a ride up here in the Virginia, Maryland, D.C. area. And there's Kiefer, just loves to harass that dog. He just doesn't stop that, which about drives you nuts. But, oh my goodness gracious. Good morning there to all that subscribe to my channel. Appreciate you watching me, listening to me, and being subscribed. And as always, it's what do we talk about today? Friday. Hey, the kid took off yesterday in the Explorer ST. She just loves Explorer ST. It was such lousy weather late yesterday afternoon, and she just felt like that was a better vehicle to take. And I know Bob in Florida has the same vehicle, which is a carbonized metallic, which is a beautiful color. And it's all about Bob this morning. So, hey, good morning there, Bob, from Melbourne, Florida, because Bob, oh my goodness gracious, Bob, yes. I'll share with you that in a second, but here we are as we go across the garage, the camper. Tell you what, for me, living in that camper, I think, oh my gosh, if we ever had high winds or even a tornado, good Lord, you may not mow me anymore, because you know those stories with the side-by-sides or the six-wides, what do they call those things? Live in. Hey, Kiefer, he is just wound up, man. What the hell is going on? Yesterday, I spent the whole day taking care of my inside of my house, and I went on my way to relocate my wife into the back room of our home for her office capability. Having Brian working for me now is now letting me have a lot more responsibilities of my life, doing other things besides working every day of my life. So Brian's been a blessing for me in my business. And come on, get in. Nope, just don't do that. And so it gives me an opportunity to start focusing more on my house. You have no idea how many years I spent taking care of inside of my home, which I enjoy that, and I do that. And so, anyways, yesterday I spent a good portion of the day literally just getting my home back in order. And my wife, she's on the second floor of the home. But what's interesting is my wife has a new position, and so she's not remotely working as much. So she's required to go into office more, and which she's not excited about that per se, but that's part of life and part of having a career. So she's been upstairs, but she used to be downstairs. But I'm always concerned about the well-being as you get older, and going up and downstairs is such a risk. If anybody knows that, as you get older, falling down the stairs is a very common problem. So that living master bedroom area that I built 10 years ago, finished 10 years ago, I've relocated my wife's whole office in the back of that living area, and she had no idea I did that. And I moved all the furniture, all the computers, very, very back-breaking work all by myself. And she was just tickled pink when she got home last night to see that I had cleaned up the whole downstairs, rearranged everything, and put a nice office for her now, where she's got a beautiful one-level living without having to go up and down the stairs. You just have no idea. I'm sure everybody on my channel can relate to a story of somebody you know that has fallen down the stairs. And some people have been, critically injured. So my goal has always been, I'll have a one level living home eventually, because I don't want to be living on 2 floors. And even these steps on this camper are very tricky. I mean, believe it or not, those steps, if you're not really careful, you will trip and fall on those steps. There's Kiefer. So here we are, and it's a treasure hunt. And as always, I try to reward my subscribers for having time to watch me. And I thought, how about give back to them a way to stay entertained on my channel, not only for my gabbing, but also for me just giving back what I think a treasure hunt. And that's what I've done. And so for those that watch my channel, you kind of get that message, and you understand that as I walk around the shop here. And so, but here's the thing, what's the word of the day? Because Monday was the separations conversation. Tuesday was the label conversations. Wednesday was the fight conversations. Thursday was the tough conversations. And today I thought, a good conversation to be the remove conversation, and I think, boy, oh boy, if that doesn't relate to so many things in our life that we're witnessing more than ever in our lifetime, the things that are being removed from us, not only physically, but well, okay. So here is, you know, I did yesterday. I went throughout my house and I noticed a lot of the fire alarms aren't really in good shape. So I bought new fire alarms. I bought a bunch of new heavy-duty fire extinguishers, and those are in the house. And I just thought, I don't know. I just had this bad feeling in my. I just like, you know, man, if that house ever caught on fire, it'd be so devastating. And so I'm going on my way right now to really just try to up the safety in it. Because keep in mind, I'm now out here in my camper versus I'm not in the house. So for the well-being of my daughter and my wife, I'm just trying to kind of manage things. But I just love the camper. That's the challenge. It isn't about the wife and I not getting along. That's not what's going on in our relationship. We get along. We love each other, and sure, like any other relationship, you have your ups and your downs. So here's the remove conversations. But before we get to that, Bob out of Melbourne, Florida, he has great eyes, but he kind of commented, well, yeah, I wish I could say that. But so as always, I hide a Jackson, a Grant, and this week I hid Franklin. But here is the ballgame. Bob figured out where Mr. Grant is, because Mr. Grant is right here. Here he is. So Bob has a $50 bill going to be mailed to him. Now Bob's so nice. He's such a cool guy, because he's going to donate this to the veterans. He's going to take this, and you know what? For me as an individual, I feel like, wow, hopefully I've helped somebody else, and I'll donate money to help somebody else. I'm sure everybody in my channel is the same way. But this old Mac computer, that was in the part of the living area in my house, and this has so many pictures. This here is probably 10 years old. I would say it's probably pretty accurate. It's really outdated, but I'm trying to get it to start up, and it does, but I got to find a wireless device to interface with it. But I have a lot of pictures on there, and I put them on USB sticks, but I want to make sure before this thing goes bye-bye, I just got to see the condition of it, or I donate it, or whatever I do, but I got to get it to run, and I think I have lots of pictures on there from cars and vehicles from years ago that maybe I could share with you, but we'll find out and see how good or bad my memory is. So once again, Bob won the $50 deal. There's Don. You know what? Don's so cool. He didn't take this the wrong way, because as an individual, I thought, well, maybe Don will be offended by me putting a picture of him in his truck. But you know what? He is like, that is so funny, and he loves it. And I'm glad, because I think Don's a great guy, and he's very active in my channel. And I just think he was so nice giving me this truck. And I just thought, what better way to recognize him but put his face in that really cool truck that he gave to me. It was in exchange for the GoPro I gave him, and he felt like he should give something back. That's kind of how we are. So on the remove conversations, you think to yourself, okay, so Mr. Iceman, all right, you know, what do you mean by the remove? Well, the Ice Age is trying to be removed from us. As we know, we've talked about it every day, just about in my life on my channel. Is how the EV age is trying to take away the Ice Age. So if we look at Stellantis, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep. If you look at that product brand, we all know right now that the replacement Dodge Charger is not a ICE vehicle. It's an electric vehicle, and yes, next year you will be able to buy the Hurricane motor, a six-cylinder twin turbo motor for the new Dodge Charger Daytona, but they decided to remove the V8 motor. So that's a whole other conversation. Dodge is taking the stance that they're going to remove the availability of any V8 motor moving forward in their gas-powered ICE vehicles. So for you and I, we've lost that relationship with Dodge, and on the truck side, Ram as well, they're removing the V8, the good old days, the good old V8. You know, have you had a V8? Got to have a V8. Remember that commercial of the tomato juice? Isn't that what they said? Have you had a V8? So for Dodge, very disappointing that we're losing that good old Ice Age, true to be. And remember, they used to have the V10. I used to have the SRT 10 Viper trucks. So those have been removed from us, and I don't think they're coming back. And once again, it's a constant rhetoric of the EV age. But then we look at the cars, we can all probably, especially my age group, can say, yeah, even look at the transmissions today. The availability of a manual transmission is gone. That was a very upsetting point of the Dodge Charger. For many of the Dodge Charger fans, they were so disappointed that they didn't put a stick shift Hellcat in a Dodge Charger, which is kind of befuddling. Cadillac does that with their CT5 Black Wing. If you see that car, it's Cadillac staying true and hard on the good old Ice Age and the performance and the manual and the automatic. But for the Dodge fans, they were all very disappointed that you couldn't get a manual. So they removed that option in the Dodge Chargers. Remember, back in the 60s and the early 70s, the Dodge Charger had a manual transmission. And then what other cars could we look at that had removed? Well, the GT500, the brand new 2020 GT500, a lot of the Ford, Mustang, Shelby enthusiasts were very, very disappointed when the GT500 was released and there was no manual transmission available. And I think most people would agree that the manual transmission today isn't what an automatic is today, meaning that the automatic will beat a manual transmission. You're not going to outshift today's technology. I mean, these DCT transmissions, there's no way. But the interaction, until you've driven a manual transmission car, and the interaction of it, you just don't get it and how much fun it is. Just like last weekend, I had to remove myself for the day, just kind of escape, clear the mind. And having that car right there gave me such the outlet to remove myself from the environment I was in. And I had that's why I called Monday morning's conversation the separation. And what do you do in life when you just need a timeout? What's your separation? What do you remove yourself from? Can you remove yourself from your life's responsibilities? That's a huge challenge in today's world. You feel guilty. I told you many times that I've been self-employed most of my life. And it took me so many years to remove myself from being attached to my company and my property, not going anywhere. And it's a psychological thing, but I guarantee you, everybody on the channel knows somebody that won't remove themselves from where they live, what they do. And it's just like, why don't you go live life? Go do something else. They won't do it. They just will. I've witnessed in my lifetime small business owners that all they ever did was worked. That's all they ever did. And I mean, literally, they died working. I mean, they wouldn't go anywhere. They just had a routine, and they couldn't remove themselves from the lifestyle of being self-employed and running a company and managing people, and they just wouldn't do it. So going over here to the motorcycles, what has happened with Harley? I mean, it's woke city. The word is in Sturgis that people are embarrassed to participate with a Harley. I think to myself, well, did all the woke people show up then? I mean, if you own a Harley now, are you a wokester? Is that what's going on? Is the tarnishing of the brand going to just make you feel embarrassed to own a Harley product? Because the implications are that the company's direction is the woke generation, and you don't want to participate in that? Wow. I mean, sad, really. And I thought to myself, so the wokesters went to Sturgis. Really? Not really. But the whole point is, people are very disgruntled of the policies of how the company is running the business and how they handle management and handle people, and how they've removed guidelines that in so many ways, for my generation and others, of how you advance in life is based on your qualities of who you are, what you can accomplish, what you do, not what you look like, and not the sad story of you put your thumb in your mouth and you suck on it because you feel like you've been treated right, and somebody needs to give you a little pat on the shoulder and tell you it's going to be okay. I mean, so the woke generation, and I mean, once again, it's just because it's beyond believable of what we're witnessing. And it's just beyond believable what we're witnessing. And just to see the social media, oh my gosh. So for the CEO of Harley, He point blank said January 23rd or January of 2023 that he's going to remove all these ICE engines and everything will be electric with the Harley brand. Wow. How do we remove these whack job CEOs of these companies? How do we remove these radical green agenda people that think they know the answers to the end of the world? How do we remove these people? I mean, sincerely, we have a serious problem of a society that won't remove bad people. I truly believe that. I think more than ever, bad people have figured out they can do whatever the hell they want to do. They'll get away with it, and there will be no repercussions. And so they just continue to do their antics and do their thing, and behind the scenes they're laughing their ass off how people buy into their stupid ass ideas, and they don't even know. They're smoking dope. These are unique individuals. And it's always the agendas. I get that. And so now the biggest thing is the batteries. So now, major article, most people know it if you're a battery person that listens to the news. The solid state battery is going to remove the lithium built battery. That's the goal. The solid state battery is a much more solid state battery, meaning it has better capability of going further, and it also has faster charging times. Downside to it is it's a very expensive battery, but it's in its beginning stages, and many are saying that by 2028, the solid state battery is going to start to populate in these electric vehicles, and it's going to be a huge change because you're going to be able to charge your car that goes 600 miles in 9 minutes. So the solid state battery is going to open the door, but keep in mind, there's a catch to this. You have to have the 600 kilowatt charging stations. This country has 350 kilowatt charging stations, but even those aren't dominant per se. So the irony is that you go out and buy a brand new 2027, 2028 car, it's going to be an expensive car because that technology is so infinite, and the materials they need to use in it, I think it's like nickel carbide sulfate, I think that's what the key components are of that, and it still has a little bit of lithium in as well. But the point is, good luck going and charging at the charging station that you think you're going to charge your car in 9 minutes. It's not going to happen because the charging station won't have the power to push into that car battery system to allow it to charge in 9 minutes. So you're still going to probably be a 20, 30 minute or longer charging for the vehicle. But the biggest thing will be you have to say to yourself honestly, like Adam, here's a gentleman watching my channel. Adam, he's reached out to me lately that I didn't even know on a personal level, but now I do because he introduced himself. And hey there, good morning there, Adam, who's down there in Southern Maryland, and he started watching my channel back in, I'm assuming, January of 2022 or February, wherever the date was when I got my first, I can't even remember to be honest with you. I think it was January 2022 when I got my first Mach-E Mustang GT Premium package, Grabber Blue. He started following my channel. I think that's when he did. I could be wrong, but he's a big Mustang enthusiast. He had a beautiful 2011 Mustang, black, and California edition, and eventually he sold it and got a 2019 Mustang, California edition, but now he has the silver blue Mach-E 2022 GT package, and in which he really does like it, but he understands too that it's got its limitations and it's more of his local driving capability. But the whole point of that conversation is that when you find out you can buy a 600-mile electric vehicle, that'll change the dynamics because not many people are going to drive 600 miles in one day. A lot will, but not everybody, and that's a long distance drive then. So that'll change a lot of things. But what they're saying right now is it's 3 times the cost of the lithium battery setup. But once again, we go back to the constant rhetoric of the ICE age versus the EV age, and that's where I think so many psychologically remove themselves from this brand new technology, the EV age. And I shouldn't say brand new, but I should say the more of the agenda that's been pushed by what we feel are individuals that have removed a lot of things from us in the get-go and want to even remove more things from us. You just don't want to support it. You want to remove yourself from it. You're just not into this. I have to spend $200-300 a month to buy gasoline to drive my ICE car. And I think that's what it's really, if you really break it down, the average person drives 15,000 miles a year. If you take the mathematics, divided by 15 or 20 mile per gallon vehicle, you divide it through the months of the year, I guarantee you that's, just off the tip of my tongue, that's $150 to $300 a month in fuel. And that, in today's world of economics, that's the difference of you getting up and down the road. Meanwhile, as I've talked about numerous times, is the challenge, as everybody knows, electric vehicle is, there are 15, 20 grand more. And so, sure, there's going to be tax incentives to offset that. And right now, Ford and other companies are very aggressive to get these vehicles down into cheaper than ICE. And I've talked about that on my channel as well. And so, but for us, we don't want to be removed for the love of the Ice Age. And that's why I named my channel Ice Age TV, which is Ice Age TV comments at gmail.com, because we want the Ice Age, the internal combustion engine age, to continue on. Now, you get to look to the likes. Look at Don. Look at that handsome guy right there. Really cool guy, really is. He and I think we're on the same page in life, same stature. He's a little older than me, former military guy. And he's loving his Honda CR. Is it a CRF 300 Rally, I guess you call it? Well, anyways. So now, for the Elon Musk of the world, I wonder why Elon Musk never made an electric motorcycle. Wouldn't that be intriguing? Wouldn't it be very intriguing that Elon Musk, why didn't he ever build an electric, did he? I don't think he did. He tried to build, he's supposed to be building a roadster. But what is Elon Musk trying to accomplish in our lifetime? And he's a guy that is all about artificial intelligence. He's a guy about the social media. He's a guy about SpaceX. He's a guy about Neuralink. He's the guy about Starlink. He's the guy, well, I think that's probably pretty much it. But he's so wanting to remove from us people that relate to our vehicles of driving them, that he wants to remove us from driving cars. That's his biggest goal in his lifetime, in my views, the full self-driving, that he really, really wants to take away the responsibility of you getting behind the wheel of a car and a vehicle takes over and drives you. But I think to myself, but do you really want to have that removed from you? Every one of these cars that I own, every motorcycle I own, every one of them has a different, unique personality that I can remember. I was actually, I'm going to hear my phone, so let's share the world of all my personal information, which I've been known to do that. But here a while back, I don't know if I did it. Okay, so here we go. This is so true. This here is a Datsun 280ZX. I found this in the Car and Driver write-up. There was an archive, and my father bought that car because we had a 1976 Datsun 280Z, and that was the first car, that was the manual clutch car that I actually drove and took my driver's test. Not this one, because the 76 model was a previous design, previous generation. And so that was my first real car that I drove. My dad let me drive as a very young person, and I actually even took my driver's test in a manual transmission Datsun 280Z. My brother in 1978, sadly, may have been 79, was in a horrendous car crash, and the car got totaled. Thank God my brother and his friend walked away from the crash, but the car was totaled, written off. So this was back in Jersey, and my dad didn't replace it. But we moved here to Virginia in 1980. I remember this Captain Bob Smith's Datsun in Fairfax, Virginia, was a dealership, and my dad found a 1980 10th anniversary edition Datsun 280Z. And it was the black and gold T-top. And I can so to this day remember, even though that car had been out of my driving and very young man, but I can remember to a T of how that car drove so differently from the previous generation in 1976. And in this article I was reading it talked about the steering. And I thought to myself, wow, I so remember how that had that power steering assist on that car, and it was a different type of feel to drive that car. I also remember how it was a total dog of a manual transmission car. It had like a total lag to get it going. Now, this whole article talks about those highlights of that car, the good and the bad. And so I was like, wow, that's so incredible. And I could literally had that feeling in my body of how that steering wheel felt in 1980 when I was just a 17-year-old kid, 17 years old, and I could relate with that vehicle on that article of what they were talking about, and they were right on all the good points, the bad points, and it was the cheap man's Corvette. Basically, that's what that was. The Datsun 280Z, 260, 240. It was the cheap man's Corvette to a degree to have a Japanese-built car, which you know as well as I do was a better built car per se in that era per se. Didn't have the baddest ass look as a Corvette or the V8 engine. It has a inline six-cylinder. So for me, when you get removed from driving these cars, what is it all about? I mean, I think the future, well, today, there's so many variables of what the future could be because of what was removed during the pandemic. What was the biggest thing in our country that has transformed the whole infrastructure of our country that was removed? Well, for me, I'm sure everybody else knows the answer. People were removed from having to drive to work every day. The remote working changed the whole dynamics and infrastructure of the whole economics. And to this day, I talked about it yesterday, the tough times, there are so many businesses that failed and went away because the infrastructure of people riding the subway, people riding the buses, people getting in their car, driving to work, that all disappeared because of the pandemic. And then companies transitioned into remote working and people transitioned into remote working. And so it's changed everything. So it removed the responsibility of people having to get out of bed every day and get ready to go to work and jump in their car and then go sit in traffic or whatever the drive. It removed responsibility. You having to go out and buy gas. And a lot of people during that pandemic sold their cars and got away from the car payments because they maybe had a few extra cars. A lot of people became better off because they didn't have that obligation of having to buy gas to go to work. They have an obligation to pay toll road fees or parking fees. It changed them from being out and buying lunch at the restaurant versus making their own food. So it removed the whole infrastructure of the restaurant industry, the transportation industry, the energy industry. I mean, it's huge of what played out for the removal of people not required to go to work. And it's had its repercussions. And now where it's at is the major real estate magnates that have all these big office buildings. They're being killed because they've lost their leases and the people that go to work. And there's actually foreclosures on real estate properties happening all day long, every day as we speak in various cities, some more than others, more the white collar than the blue collar cities, but it's a big problem. And to the point that many of these developers and owners of these properties are having to rezone them, so they're turning them into apartment buildings and into condos. It's because the removal of people having to go to work. But I've talked about it before, and I thought it was so interesting that last year, I was talking a lot about the potheads. And it was so interesting, I was talking in great depths how people were removed from their responsibilities of getting out of bed and sitting in an office every day, that so many people turned into potheads, alcoholics, drug abusers, and I talked about that in great length, that sadly in today's society, people want to remove themselves from their daily anxiety by smoking pot. And it's huge. And the states have legalized it. So the cannabis is huge today. It's a huge industry. And people more than ever are smoking weed and are high as they drive down the road. But the biggest thing that I was talking about was how many people were high sitting behind the desk at their home, and the boss, nobody could figure out how they were, their state of their mind was per se, because they weren't face to face. And then there's a whole Wall Street Journal article written about how the human resources in these major companies were beginning to see a really big increase in people raising their hand that had drug abuse problems. And in those drug abuse problems, they were point blank admitting that they aren't able to come to work because of their addictions and they need help. Wow. And I talked about that in great length before it even happened. And so, what else has been removed? Well, as we know, we now have a person called Kamala Harris that wants to take the bare arms from us. She's full blown. I mean, once again, you can talk all day long as a politician and say you're going to do things. Doesn't mean it'll happen. But it seems like this sitting administration is more about removing things than per se letting you have the things you have. Because you got to be very dangerous on how you say that word. Because they're on the page of removing things from people, taking their rights away from people, but they're also about giving entitlement to unique individuals. They're also wanting to give to those that we feel like shouldn't be given things that aren't really the citizens of this country, and that we're taking care of other people's problems that were removed from their country, and they had to be removed from their country because they're not good citizens. And that's the concern of this country more than ever, is we have many people here that in some ways were removed. I mean, I'm sure people know the stories of like Venezuela. To cut the overhead of the prisons, they opened all the prisons up and let everybody escape because they knew they were going to go to America. Have you heard these stories? I mean, it's true stories that some countries have let go of all their bad people because they know that the basic message to them is, if we catch you again, you're going back to prison. So their attitude is, let me get the hell out of the country. I go to America. They can't do nothing to me. And that's in so many ways, to a degree, it's true. Not 100%, but it's got its variables on how they take care of that. What else has been removed from us in modern times? Because I'm sure some other people watch my channel will probably, you should have talked about this being removed from us. And once again, I was talking earlier about the artificial intelligence with Elon Musk. And what's Elon Musk's goal is to remove you and I from having the responsibility to drive a vehicle. Also, the artificial intelligence is at its greatest building ever of people trying to create artificial intelligence. That's why NVIDIA's stock has gone down a little bit, but the supercomputers, the GPUs, all that stuff is huge right now because artificial intelligence is going to help you, is going to remove you from making mistakes in so many ways, but in so many ways, I don't know, it's dangerous because when you say a sentence, I already talked about this the other day, the new Apple phone later this year is going to have artificial intelligence, OpenAI capability in it. And when you text somebody, the artificial intelligence may reword that for you. And to a degree, I know it's already going on. But I'm just saying, for Apple, to use their example, you're not on a phone and you're going to want to email or text somebody, and it's going to remove what you said, and it's going to put in place what it thinks is a better way to say it. But wow. Yeah, why did Elon Musk buy Twitter? I talked about that in great length. I think he bought it for the artificial intelligence, to be able to have a trove of information just to pour into him building his Grok or whatever he calls his artificial intelligence program. And so for me, you just think to yourself about all this technology that's coming with us and how Elon Musk is pushing it. But at the same time, Elon Musk is concerned, as many are, where it all goes. But for the artificial intelligence, it's just so much the message of what Elon Musk did to Twitter and why he bought it. Because back during the 2020 election year, the word was out that people were being removed from that platform that didn't agree with the opinions and views and the liberal-sided media. And to this date, it's an ongoing argument, an ongoing separation of who we are. Is you're removed, you're shadowed because of your own intellectual thoughts. And it seems more like the conservatives. And so for Vito, who reached out to me yesterday, Father Seducci, I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your username correctly, but he's a very smart young man. And he reached out to me, and he put in a lengthy email of why he feels like my channel has these weird things going on where people are unsubscribed to my channel. And I really don't know. But he wrote me a really nice email, and he hit it right on the head. And what the email in so many words is saying is that today, more than ever, it seems like the conservatives are being shut down, removed from social media, that a channel like mine, since it's more conservative based, will be very challenged to ever really grow, because there'll be, in what he feels is a liberal minded person in the back end, it just isn't going to give favoritism to my channel. And then he used the example of the United Kingdom, where people are being called out and tracked down that don't believe in the liberal views of the sitting, that New England's country, the government. And so people are really being tracked down for much more of a conservative view. And even though you have to say to yourself, that seems far-fetched, but you witness it. And I think that many people here feel, that watch my channel, that's got value to it, because it seems like the people that want to have what this country was founded on, the freedoms and the Constitution. Public officials weren't elected to rewrite the Constitution. Public officials weren't elected to be, in some ways, not true to what they signed up to be powers to be, but yet they want to take and twist everything and change and remove what we feel as citizens is so wrong. And it gets deep and heavy, and I'm not just going to go down, but I know people that watch my channel, they get that message of how the conservative base is trying to be removed. The goal is, from the liberal media, which you could say the propaganda, is trying to convince so many that the conservative views and ideas aren't the right views and ideas to move forward, and convince so many that the majority believe these other radical views are really supported by by the majority. But they're not. The minority thinks they're majority, but they're not. The majority is more silent. That's a challenge of the conservative base. It doesn't get as riled up and do devious things, in my views, and make all these claims and statements. Don't get me wrong, each political party has its challenges. But at the same time, it's just always a twisted way of what's going on versus what's not going on. And that's the message today, is the removal of really what the founding fathers of this country fought so hard for, that barely even was able to accomplish, that created this country that we live in. It seems as if the British are back, and they want to remove the rights of the country that we live in, and the British people are the powers to be in the Democratic Party. I mean, and you could say the Republicans in some way too. I would not disagree with that there's not like there are some traitor Republicans. I don't disagree. But for us citizens of this country, we're witnessing in front of our eyes a November election that's going to once again be very challenging to who believes it was won fairly or was won unfairly. And for all the marketing blitz that Kamala Harris is getting, and now Tim Walz, it's beyond believable. It's beyond believable, all the marketing blitz, and that's all you're going to hear. That's all you're going to hear, and that's going to be the consistent trashing of Donald Trump, because this is the guy that wants to try to keep the country to what its true founders created it to be, and to support being conservative more than liberal. Even though, remember, Donald Trump, he was somewhat liberal and democratic supporter back in the day. But I think most would agree today that there's no way you can say the Democratic Party today is what it was 10 years ago. I'd say more 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And so for you and I think we'd all agree. A lot of people now are saying that in some ways the Republican Party now is kind of what the Democratic Party was 20, 30 years ago, which I don't know if I believe that or not. All right, so we still have a Benjamin Franklin in the shop, and we still have an Andrew Jackson in the shop. Now, for Don, one of my subscribers, he's so funny, Don there on the truck, I was telling him that he's funny. And so, I mean, I'm sincere, it's funny. He was emailing me, it's over here, it's over there, it's over there, it's over here. And I said, maybe we should have a limit. If you get three guesses of where the bills are, and if you don't guess, then that's it. You just can't keep on guessing and guessing and guessing, and just eventually maybe get lucky and you guess it right. So I've got mixed feelings on that. But here's the funny part about all of this. I told Don, you were the only guy yesterday even interacting on the channel to find the money. It wasn't until late yesterday that Bob actually reached out to me and he found the money. So there's only two participants that I know of, unless you were removed from comments, or you're removed from emailing me at iceagetvcomments@gmail.com. But there's only 2 participants. I'm blown away. I got a YouTube channel where now, in the last 2 weeks, if I was to hand out, everybody found this money, I just gave up, what? That'd be like $70-$90 last week. And then now we're at $140, then $240, $260. $260. If everybody found what I hid, I just gave out $260 on my channel. I'm going to tell you straight up. That's what I make for the whole month on my channel. So just to show you how, I guess, desperate I'm getting to grow my channel, I'm trying to get people to watch it, and I'm having to pay them to watch it. Yeah, how bad can it be, right? I mean, come on. It'd be unbelievable. But yet, everybody's going to tune in to the guys who are going to tell you that there's no more, the car sales are over. I mean, it just blows me away. Guys are getting 50, 80, 100,000 sales. Car sales are over. Car sales are same rhetoric, same exact conversation, same story. Car dealerships are done. That just blows me away, man. Oh, and Bob down there in Melbourne, Florida, he was so cool because he listened to my conversation, and I said, hey, down there in Florida, the Michael Bordenero guy that walks around the neighborhood all day telling everybody that the world's come to an end and everybody's house is being foreclosed on, and 50% of the value of the home, I asked him, I said, down in your own neighborhood, are there a ton of for sale signs in your neighborhood? Are you seeing foreclosures everywhere? And you seeing houses that are now worth half? He's like, nah, not me. Down there in Oldsmar, Florida, there ain't no stories of that in Oldsmar, Florida. I know that. I've been down there. So where do these guys get this information? But these are guys get 150,000, 100,000 hits, views on their channel within a 10, 12-hour time frame of telling everybody the world's coming to an end. I guess, my algorithms are all wrong. I guess I just have to start getting up every day and tell everybody that the world's going to come to an end, that Iran's going to nuke Israel, and then they'll nuke us, and that it's over. I mean, sincerely, that's, I guess, what draws. I don't believe it, everybody. It's a game, and I think bots, I truly believe those subscribers have bots. I truly believe that. I hope somebody can prove me wrong, but I just feel so strongly that's all fake. It's all fake people commenting on their channel that are probably in the game with them where they get paid money. I mean, think about it. You can create a gig. If I can make 10 or 20 grand a month and I can get enough people to participate to make it look like 100,000 people watch my channel, and I share, $100 here to this guy, $100 here to that guy, and I tell you, hey man, you just do the gig with me, and I'm just one of many that you participate with, just sitting in your house all day long and playing the game. You can make $200, $300, $400, $500 a day, maybe $1,000 a day if you have like 10 more subscribers like me. I think that's what's going on personally. Prove me wrong, but it's not the whining. It's just befuddling. It's all get out. But as Vito says, my channel, being a conservative view channel, the back end just probably doesn't like you, and they just probably want to shame you and shadow you. And good luck. Yeah, wow, yikes, right? Right. All right, everybody. That's it. I'm gonna let it go. And as always, hope somebody finds Benjamin, or not really, because if nobody finds Benjamin, then that's over. So at the end of the day, my view is if you haven't figured it out by the end of the day, then oh well, it just goes to next week. And you don't have to figure out what day you watch my channel, just get it next week. So as always, God bless, have a great day, and thanks for subscribing.